The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark.
The very Steve that went to go watch Imprint Curry do his entire sitcom and afterward took all that Imprint Curry had. Might you at any point regard my space? Yet it simply comes from 4 years of individuals exploiting my graciousness. My significant other says, Steve, you need to transform. I said, why? She said, 'cause I'm burnt out on appearing as though I'm hitched to a pimp Marjorie Harvey is evidently contacting her limit with. In all honesty, Steve Harvey allegedly she's tossing around letting him go. The roads are humming about their rough marriage, and some say Steve could have recently pounded the last nail in the casket. So for what reason does Marjorie purportedly need to leave Steve Harvey after such a long time? Well, this is on the grounds that he's at last quit professing to be the pleasant fellow and showed his genuine varieties. First of all, we have Feline Williams, as of late raised a ruckus his broad meeting on Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Digital recording one of the elites that Mrs. Uncovered was Steve Harvey. Williams hinted that Steve Harvey counterfeited Imprint Curry's job as Imprint C. Cooper in Hanging with Mr. Cooper on his series The Steve Harvey Show. The very Steve that went to go watch Imprint Curry do his entire sitcom and afterward took all that Imprint Curry had. He likewise stated that Harvey could never make it as a famous actor, which is the reason he sticks to facilitating family quarrel and sitcoms. Then you ask him for what reason you not a famous actor. I would have rather not been a famous actor. Williams proceeded with this. The very Ian that loathed on Bernie Mac with this equivalent thing. There are 30,000 news scripts in whole, with consistently not one of them requested a yokel dark buddy that can't talk great and seemed to be Mr. Potato Head. There ain't none. You must have range. In the meantime, Ed Darling has appeared to affirm Feline Williams' claims about Steve Harvey and his troubles with Bernie Mac. The unbelievable DJ dropped another episode of Hunt's Come On Child digital broadcast on January 5th, where he supported up Williams' story that the comic comment on the most recent episode of the club, Shea Web recording. Williams proceeds to say that he should be one of the lords of parody, that they moved toward him after Bernie passed. He said in the episode, yet he would have rather not gone on the Rulers of Satire visit due to Steve Harvey's therapy of Bernie Mac. He has a ton of regard for Bernie Mac, subsequent to making sense of that. He'd been a companion of Bernie Mac's until the day he kicked the bucket. Ed Sweetheart proceeded with the stuff that Feline Williams said about Steve Harvey calling to attempt to get Bernie's job on C's 11, and that sort of stuff. Bernie let me know out of his own mouth I accept Bernie Mac. When he said Steve Harvey detested on him, he finished up for contest. Steve Harvey and 3 of his companions overwhelmed the world after they established their spot in the satire lobby of popularity 20 years prior when they went on a parody visit called The First Rulers of Satire. The show not just broke film industry records at that point, yet it additionally launched what parody shows have become today. The other 3 entertainers were D.L. High Cedric the Performer and Bernie Mac, every one of whom had various styles and furthermore involved material in view of African American life in America. And dark white difference. Steve was hot. We had the Steve Harvey Show, so we had a public program. Bernie Mac was the it comic at that point, and afterward, DL was hot. He had a program. Harvey at that point, however, was claimed to be the smoothest of the entertainers, which is a portion of the scoop about why he had the option to progress into TV with such ease. Anyway, he was likewise the most forceful toward the crowd, picking focuses in the first column for remarks on their hair, garments, and vocation possibilities. Bernie Mac then again had an alternate methodology, something you could call the most hard-edged, and a portion of his material even wandered away from satire and into the injuries of genuine think. Yet the main year we did, it was me, Bernie, and you, just me, Bernie, and Steve shut anyway. It appears Steve Harvey could have been envious of Bernie Mac's methodology, and that little hiccup developed into a hamburger that went on for a really long time. Basically, that is what one of the musicians appears to have quite recently uncovered to the world, and the web is humming about it. Ernie, you realize felt as he would have rather not done it any longer. He was on his own way. And Steve, so, you realize in no way like that always occurred for quite a long time. Bits of gossip have coursed that during the hour of the first Lords of Satire visit, there was some pressure between Steve Harvey and the late Bernie Mac, and presently those reports are being tended to by different individuals like Cedric the Performer Cedric, who was a piece of the visit alongside D.L. Hughes. Steve Harvey And Bernie McIntosh affirmed that the two humorists didn't really appreciate both perspectives, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, you realize they were the sort of folks that the two of them dominant men, like the two of them, they just saw it different. You understand what I'm talking about, yep. The day's end, they had the option to traverse it. He expressed while on Shannon Sharp's digital recording club, Shay, is that one reason why you did the FF, you did the initial segment. The second part, I think you obviously that was, certainly a contributing situation anyway. That wasn't entirely there was to their meet in 2003. Bernie Mac had a meeting with GQ magazine where he blamed Harvey for being desirous of him and attempting to disrupt him for specific film jobs. Steve would proceed to address Max's cases in a 2010 meeting and uncovered that he was wounded by Max's words anyway. The cases from McIntosh were likewise affirmed by different gatherings, one of whom is Damon Williams. Bernie said in the GQ article that when he got C's 11, Steve had contacted the maker and said he figured he would be a superior fit and attempted to get the recreation area and yak. And you realize you don't do while Steve wasn't precisely effective in that frame of mind to take Max Sparkle. It appeared to be the comic could have made progress in that line with imprint Curry Steve Harvey the work after me. I picked him up. Okay, so let me know he never said thank you. Woo, so what's happening with you and Steve, man? Ain't nothing with me. Well, Steve took my material on his show, so I had a hamburger on that now. On the off chance that you're pondering, here's the joke, Curry was discussing Halloween was an excursion Halloween. We were unable to bear the cost of no Halloween ensemble, and here's Steve's rendition. You've heard me say that each Halloween I had a similar outfit on. Now to exacerbate the situation, Curry affirmed that Steve supposedly took his comedic material once as well as 2 times. My thing with Steve Harvey is that he utilized my material on his foundation, no doubt. After I conversed with him, I saw him at DJ. I went up and conversed with him. I said, man, you're utilizing my material. The comic uncovered to the team Z staff that he generally disapproved of Harvey in the past. Yet the joke-taking persevered. He said the comic has guaranteed Harvey made his quips on both the Steve show and children say the darnest things. My thing with Steve Harvey, he utilized my material on his foundation. Curry told TMZ staff, you're removing cash from my pocket. You've made it. You're extremely rich. Quit utilizing my material. Imprint likewise made sense of I saw him, and I went up to converse with him, and I said, child, you utilizing my material, removing cash from my pocket. You brought in sufficient cash. You're exceptionally well off. You don't need to remove it from me. However, at that point, he utilized it on his other show, that Hildren's show. Notwithstanding this, Steve has additionally been blamed for being a harasser by his staff. Might you at any point regard my space? Yet it comes from 4 years of individuals making the most of my generosity closely following his syndicated program's large move to Los Angeles. Harvey supposedly sent a stunning reminder to his new staff requesting things regularly saved for visit writers. There will be no gatherings in my changing area. No coming by or popping in. Nobody don't come to my changing area except if welcome. Don't open my changing area entryway. Assuming that you open my entryway, hope to be eliminated, Harvey wrote in the update. Got in May 2017 by Chicago blogger Robert Feeder. The update proceeded with my security group will prevent everybody from remaining at my entryway who has the purpose to see or address me. I believe all the ambushing should stop. Now that incorporates television staff, you should plan an arrangement. Harvey guaranteed he was looking for all the more extra energy for me over the course of the day. Making sense of that, the notice was shipped off, fixed the permissive entryway strategy he allowed during his show's Disagreement Chicago. He repeated that safeguard a couple of days after the fact while examining the spilled letter with diversion this evening. I'm in my cosmetic seat. They stroll in the room I'm eating. They stroll in, they don't thump. I'm in the passage. I'm getting trapped by individuals with companions that come to the give and having me in. Decation this and do this. I just said stand by a moment, and looking back, I presumably ought to have taken care of it somewhat diversely anyway. It seems like Marjorie may be